Missouri House Democrat Trish Gunby joins us now on the record. You're running for Congress against Congresswoman Ann Wagner. I want to ask you about that question there. If you can't buy a beer, should you be able to buy a rifle in America?
I would take it a step further and I would say, why are we selling assault weapons? And why are we selling 300 rounds of magazines?
Define that, an assault weapon.
Well, a military weapon that in our military stays locked away and is only taken out for training purposes or if it's going to be used for military action. So in the United States, we've decided that that's okay for civilians.
Pardon me, I noticed that red button on your lapel, Moms Demand Action. We heard from some mothers demanding action at the vigil in St. Louis on Monday night after the school shooting earlier that day. What was your reaction there, and what more would you commit to doing from Congress to make it less likely that violence like that would occur in classrooms?
We have decided that it is okay to see children and educators shot in our classrooms. We value those weapons, AR-15s, more than we do students and teachers. And so as a society, we have to decide if that's who we are going to be. So I would absolutely, I'm a gun sense candidate. I filed gun storage legislation when I was in the state legislature, bipartisan legislation that did not advance under Republicans. And so I would absolutely support recent federal legislation that Ann Wagner voted against an active shooter alert system, a ban on assault weapons, and against mental health services, behavior services in schools to help with events like this.
Missouri Senator Roy Blunt voted for the expansion of those mental health services and some of those different provisions that Congress did take action on. It was probably the most fundamental gun safety legislation Congress has passed in a few decades. We do hope to hear from Congresswoman Wagner before Election Day. We've invited her on this program. I want to show her tweet. Your opponent, Congresswoman Wagner, tweeted after the school shooting that she was, quote, just devastated about the senseless loss of life at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School in the city of St. Louis, and she's grateful for the swift response of our law enforcement. What was your, I know I've asked you this question, but what was your reaction there? What do you make of hers? And if I can, some Republicans often, in the wake of school tragedies, school shootings or other mass shootings, will say, this is not the time to get political. What do you say to that?
It's not being political. It is life or death. That knows no party. Democrats get killed, Republicans get killed, independents get killed. That's what we're talking about. So I don't see it as being political. I see it as we need to decide if we value children and educators and people in society in general, because we've had these mass shootings at other events, do we value them more than the weapons that are used to kill them?
These races for Congress can draw out some bitter debates that our society, that our country grapples with on guns and abortion. I don't know if there are two topics more divisive, controversial than those. On abortion, we're seeing a lot of interest from voters, especially after the Dobbs decision. I want to play a quick soundbite we had with Congresswoman Wagner asking her about the state restrictions that Missouri enacted into law. Take a look. Missouri voted to restrict all abortion, even in cases of rape and incest, except for the life of the mother, I believe, in Missouri. Did the Missouri legislature go too far?
The state legislatures have, the Dobbs case said this gets returned to the state legislatures. I don't know what will happen in the state of Missouri when they go back into session, whether that will be adjusted or changed in any way, shape, or form. I support exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother.
So Missouri went too far?
I support restrictions for life of the mother, rape, and incest.
I want to ask you, what would the Missouri legislature do? Did they know what they were doing when they passed the restrictions that did not include exceptions for rape and incest? Do you have any confidence they might roll those parts back?
Given the majority Republican leadership right now and those who are in that in office now, and the fact that the incoming legislature may get more conservative, certainly on the Senate side. We have a member there, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, who is advocating to criminalize people who go across state lines to seek abortion care, to seek reproductive health care.
That's a House Republican now running for the Senate in our neck of the woods.
Yes, yes. So do I think they're going to roll back some things? I don't see that at all. In fact, at the federal level, while Congresswoman Ann Wagner may think that exceptions for rape and incest, that's gone too far, she voted against access to birth control.
She says that's not true.
Well,
when we posed that question to her some time ago after we met with you about this question of student loan debt, she said that you're distorting her position on that.
Well, she's a no vote on the access to contraceptives, so that is what is part of public record. So I believe the Republican Party has decided that they are going to be in our exam rooms, in our bedrooms, and certainly here in Missouri, they have decided that a child can get raped, carry a baby to term, deliver that baby, go back to school, and then somebody's going to raise that child. And how we're going to fund those pregnancies, I don't know. But they have decided that that's okay, and I am absolutely against that.
How would you vote in Congress on this issue of abortion? What limits, if any, would you set on the procedure?
I would happily co-sponsor something to codify abortion rights into federal law. In terms of the time frame, I believe the time frame is between a healthcare provider and the patient.
So no limits?
I'm not going to comment in terms of a number. What I'm going to say is that is between a healthcare provider and the patient. Government should not be in your exam room or in your bedroom.
Even in Roe versus Wade, though, the court did determine that states have a significant interest in the life of the fetus after in that third trimester, in the late term. It sounds like you would go a step beyond Roe.
I think that that's up to a healthcare provider and the patient.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
How much responsibility does Joe Biden have for inflation?
I believe Democrats under Biden's leadership have actually done some things regarding the cost of living prices. I grocery shop, I put gas in my tank. We have seen the Inflation Reduction Act passed. We have
Which
seen
the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan organization, and the Wharton School of Business, an independent organization, both said would not reduce inflation.
There are elements in there that would drop prescription drug prices for seniors, so that would certainly help seniors.
That's a price cap. It's not a inflationary
Right,
metric.
but so much of inflation, you talk about the cost of things, so that would help seniors. We have an insulin cap, a bill that was capping insulin prices, life-saving medication. That was something that passed. Gas price gouging, that was something that passed. All of those things, Ann Wagner voted no on.
To what extent, I hear you though, you're talking about short-term fixes, well, long-term fixes on the cost of medications, but those are not things that are necessarily experiencing inflation in this moment. Those are long-term issues on the medical side. To what extent is government spending at the federal level driving inflation? To what extent is it the root cause?
Inflation is, this is happening across the world. I mean, we're still coming out of COVID. We're still coming out of supply chain issues. We have the war in Ukraine. There are many factors that play into that. And I'm mindful of the cost. I believe that we will be able to get a handle on that in the short term. Right now, I'm focused obviously on making it so the cost of living is the best that it can be for middle-class Americans. I also want to note that corporations, part of that legislation was taxing corporations. I'm in a situation where I pay more for taxes than likely what Amazon pays. And so there are a lot of different ways that we can address the cost of things. When corporations are making extremely high profits, I think we need to do something about that as well.
Why didn't you vote for Governor Parsons' tax cut proposal?
That was something that is going to help people who have more money. It really proportionately is not bringing that much money back to those individuals who are at the lower income levels. And so again, I think we're just helping people who are more wealthy. And across the board, I feel like we need to help people who may need a little bit more help at the lower end of the income level.
As we talk about cost of living and this period of inflation, I think a lot of our voters and viewers would love to know what is something you could do from Congress to reduce their energy costs, whether it's at the gas pump or whether it's at home with their utility bill. Is there some policy you can support right now that would directly result in lower energy costs?
I would love to see the United States become a leader in green technology and renewable energy.
But even the biggest optimists in that arena say that's 2035 or 2050. That ain't helping me in the next quarter.
I would just encourage people to be mindful of when they drive, be mindful of conserving fuel as much as you can. There are things in the short term that related to those kinds of costs that we can do. Ride public transportation, perhaps carpool, those sorts of things. Look, energy efficiency in terms of your homes, replacing windows, those kinds of things. So doing things in the short term, but certainly in the long term, we have to address the fact that our planet is warming, and we have to see corporations and individuals prepare for the 21st century down the road, And I hope Americans do that and we become a leader in that technology.
Might be energy independence, just not tomorrow. It
Right,
might be
exactly,
a while. Watching
exactly.
OPEC and the Saudis control the American energy market certainly has been interesting on that front. Before we let you go, just a question about strategy and outcomes, how you're feeling going into this race. The Cook Political Report, with which I'm sure you are familiar, ranks races by toss-up, likely Democratic, likely Republican, or leaning one way or the other. They identified 85 of the 435 races for Congress in the country as somewhat competitive on that scale. The Missouri 2nd District was not one of them. Why not?
They made a mistake. And I will tell you, I first ran in 2019, was supposed to lose by 10 points, I won by 8 points. I'm in a 50-50 House district. I believe the 2nd Congressional District, as it's currently drawn, is more of a 50-50 district. Nicole Galloway won it.
As it's currently drawn.
I do, I believe that. As it's currently drawn.
It was gerrymandered to help Republicans.
Well, Nicole Galloway won it when she was running for auditor, and Josh Hawley only won it by 2.3 points when he ran back in 2018 before his shenanigans.
So don't sleep on Trish Gunby, you're saying?
No, because we have been in Franklin County, in Warren County, all across St. Charles County, and, well, the portion that's in the district, and St. Louis County, and I'm telling you, voters want to be heard. No matter what, they want to be heard. And we are doing that. We've been doing that for 15 months. More tires, more tennis shoes, and that's what is missing in this district. No in-person public town halls, no congresswoman out in the district, and we tell people that's going to be what makes this race winnable for me.
That's Trish Gunby. We have extended the same invitation to Congresswoman Ann Wagner, and we will have those results for you on election night right here on November 8th. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.